Hi everybody, my name is Hannah, this is Pepper and Pine, and I have a project to share with you today. We are inspired by these clothespins that I picked up from Target recently, and we want to make our own. I've got some super strong magnets here. I went ahead and I picked up some plain clothespins also from Target. They are 3¼ inches in length, and they are 3/8 of an inch wide, so they are actually larger than the store-bought ones that are already decorated, and I actually like the smaller size a little bit better. I have a variety of art mediums here that I'm going to use in order to paint our clothespins. We have some distress inks and re-inkers. We have some Heidi Swapp Color Shine and some acrylic paints. Off to the side, I also have some opaque watercolors. So I'm going to be using mainly Color Shine by Heidi Swapp. I really like this art medium. It has kind of an iridescent look to it. You're supposed to shake it first, but I actually want to get a lot of that iridescent material that's at the bottom of the jar. So I'm going to just pull that out to paint some of our clothespins with that. But I'm also going to use this white acrylic paint and a little bit of water, as well as just the Color Shine material that's not been mixed yet, so that we can have a variety of colors just based on that one bottle of Color Shine. So I'm going to mix that white acrylic paint with a little bit of the Color Shine. This is going to make it more opaque. If you're just using watercolors, you're going to see a little bit more of the wood grain. If you're using the Color Shine that has a lot more of that pigmented solution, it's going to be a lot more iridescent and you're not going to see any of the wood grain. And if you're using your acrylic paints mixed with your watercolors, it's also going to make it a little bit more opaque. Now, painting these clothespins was really easy, and only on a few occasions when I was just using the watercolors by themselves did it not absorb very well into the wood. It kind of rested on top. It eventually absorbed, but not as well as when you mix it with a little bit of acrylic paint. So if that's the case with you, you can just give your clothespins a light sanding and then it will absorb just fine. So you can see how much darker it is with just the Color Shine material that has a lot more of that pigmented solution. It's iridescent and it's darker than the lighter version that has the acrylic paints in it. So I'm really liking the way it's looking with the Heidi Swapp Color Shine. So I'm going to do it again with this seafoam color that's this really beautiful green. I'm going to start out by using it with a little bit of the white acrylic paint. And I think this ended up being my favorite one. I really love the way that this one looks in the end. And then of course I'm going to do it again with more of that shimmery Color Shine. I ended up liking the Color Shine by Heidi Swapp so much that pretty much all of our clothespins ended up getting a color from the Heidi Swapp rather than my distress inks or my opaque watercolors, but I encourage you to play around with this. The other thing is that you may need to buy extra clothespins depending on whether or not you're going to drill on the back in order to adhere your magnet. I did split a few of them in the process. And the other thing is that we had such a good time making these that we had in excess of what we needed, but it was really beautiful getting the whole color spectrum for our project. So they're still wet, so we want to let them dry completely before we move on to the next part of the project. So you can see that I've decorated some of these here. That's going to be for another project. You can find the link to that project down in the description box below. But now it's time to drill our clothespins so that we can adhere our super strong magnet. So there are the magnets, and I'm just putting the drill bit on top of the magnets to see what size drill bit I'm going to need, and you want to make sure that it is the same or slightly larger than the size of your magnets. Now our magnets were pretty thick, and so I thought that it would be better for me to embed them in the back of our clothespins rather than leaving them with some glue kind of sticking out on the back. I thought that they were more prone to break off that way. So it is going to be a little bit challenging getting these holes in just right because our clothespin itself is not that wide and our drill bit is quite large, and so there was a few occasions where it did split the wood. You want to make sure that you're also right in the center of your clothespin so that you don't end up kind of cutting outside of your clothespin. So because the drill bit is rounded, you're going to need to drill quite a bit before you can get your magnet situated inside. I'm using some hot glue in order to adhere our magnets. This is maybe not the absolute best way to do this, but it worked really well for us. You're just going to want to get that nice and squished in and then let it cool and dry completely, and it stays on. It's perfectly durable. If you're using hot glue and laying it be on top of your clothespin, it is more likely to break off, actually very likely to break off. Okay, so I have collected 7 of the neutral colors here, and here's just what it looks like when you actually split them. So you do want to have a few extra on hand so that you have enough for your project. I'm also using this gold metallic pin that I also picked up from Target at their little dollar spot. And for this set, I'm just going to write the days of the week, the full name for each day, not the abbreviated. And I added a little bit of decoration at the end of this one, and I actually didn't like the way it turned out, but thankfully we have extra clothespins, so the final look just has the full days of the week without any additional decorations on them. All right, so let's put these clothespins to use. I brought them down to our kitchen, and this is how we are going to be doing our meal plans for the whole week. I have either photographs or clippings from magazines of the recipes that we are trying out, and this gives us just a week at a glance, and it also allows the kids to choose what they want for the week, and then it helps me put together my shopping list for when we go grocery shopping. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you'd like to see some of our other projects and tutorials, you can tap on the screen right now. That link is also in the description box below. Don't forget to check out the blog post that accompanies this video for more tutorials as well as information on where we picked up all of the materials for this project. And if you'd like to see what kind of projects we're doing on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.